All right, Madam Chair, we are now live.
Thank you, Brenda. Good afternoon. My name is Tanya Rodriguez. I'm Commission Chair for the Human Relations Commission, and I would like to welcome you to the January 20th, 2022 Human Relations Commission virtual meeting. We're coming to you live from the Cherokee homelands, where the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians remain a sovereign nation to this day. We will now call our meeting to order. Duties of the Human Relations Commission of Asheville include but are not limited to: 1. Make policy recommendations to the City Council which promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the city. 2. Support the city's Office of Equity and Inclusion. 3. Provide a forum where residents can raise issues and complaints relating to human relations in the city. 4. Engage the community regarding the utilization of city-funded programs and policies for the promotion of human relations. And 5. Promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the following areas: public safety, education, art and cultural opportunities, economic development, health and human services, and housing. All commission members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we temporarily conduct our HRCA meetings remotely. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the commission page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801. That number again is 855-925-2801. The meeting code to enter the meeting is 9723. Once again, the meeting code to enter the meeting is 9723. For those of you who would plan to speak or would like to speak during our live public comment today, you will need to press *3 or *3 to be put in the speaker's queue. For those of you who are with us today, welcome. Now we will have our roll call. I will go around the Zoom room or Google Meet and introduce all the commission members, staff, and guests who are participating virtually. Commission members, please make sure to mute your microphone if you are not speaking. If you have a question or when you would like to speak, please click Raise Hand, and when recognized by either me or Brenda, please unmute your microphone. Remember to mute your microphone after you are done speaking. As I call your name, please say a quick hello. See list of members provided in the meeting materials that can be found online in the city's website on HRCA, Human Relations Commission Asheville. Roll call. Vice Chair Brandon Oliver.
Hello.
Yvonne Melchor is not here yet. Tiffany Debelo is not here yet. I'm here, Tanya Rodriguez. Alex Nava.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Welcome. Dolores Venable is not present. Susie Chandler is not present. Melanie Noyes.
Present.
Daniel Young. I see you. I can't hear you. Daniel Young, thank you.
Yeah.
Yay. Emma Nicole Worthy, I do not see. Crystal Michelle Reed, I do not see. Marilyn Rayner is not here yet. And Harvey Dean Harold is not here yet. We do not have quorum. City Council Liaison, thank you for being here, Kim Rooney.
Good evening.
Thank you to our city staff members for being here tonight. Brenda Mills, which is the interim director of, actually, you are the director. Hi, Ms. Director. The Office
Good
of
evening.
of Equity and Inclusion, and the staff liaison to the Human Relations Commission, Asheville. Erin Miles, which is the assistant city attorney and our legal representative. Thank you for being here, Erin.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
And Brad Branham is our city attorney, and he is not here today. And to help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud. Thank you very much all for being here today, and for those of you who are not here and serving on the Human Relations Commission. Again, I ask commission members to raise hand to be recognized to speak. Please state your name each time you comment. This is important. There is public that is listening on the phone, and this keeps the public updated on the order of the meeting and who is commenting or speaking. Once again, we do not have a quorum yet, so we will be able to do an approval of minutes for November 18th, 2021. Moving on to the next item up for business, staff updates. Staffing update, that's you, Director Mills.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You are kind of blinking out a bit, so it's good you got your camera off. So hopefully we don't lose you. Good evening, everyone. I am happy to come to you this evening and say that the Office of Equity and Inclusion is fully staffed. Marcus Kirkman, our training consultant, Darian Blue, who leads our outreach, have already hit the ground running. Elena Schmidt, who works with the Nature Center, will be joining our team on February 7th. So hopefully for the February meeting, we will bring all the staff to meet everyone and just say hello. I want to say that in this climate of really being able to find good staff or court staff here to Asheville, we are very blessed to have these three people. They bring a lot of wealth of skills and excitement and passion about the equity and inclusion work. The other thing I'm excited about is reparations. We closed the application process January 15th, which was last Saturday. Well, it was thinking about snowing. We have, drum roll, 56 applications. I think there was 29 for the neighborhoods and 26 for the impact focus areas. The goal was to try to find a number of really quality, high quality, amazing folks for city council and our board of commissioners to have a choice. And I think that they will be pleased. The neighborhoods just came out in force. We had lots of meetings. I will say that I text, called, and harassed people for 3 or 4 weeks. But people showed up. They contacted each other. They recommended folks. I think you will be pleased with the folks that we have in those impact areas. So just to remind you, the neighborhoods choose their own candidates. I'm going to start with public housing because that is nothing more than just brilliant. Worked with them to identify folks in housing that could serve. We have our 3 and I think a 4th. So we have plenty of representatives for them to choose from. In our neighborhoods, they have all picked at least 2 to 3. I just want to give a shout out to Southside United Neighborhood Association, which is now getting started tonight with their first meeting. They have at least 5 people to choose from. So they have a really good selection. And then they will send that back. We will send them all their applications. Our project manager will send them all their applications tomorrow. They'll have a form to fill out, and then they will send back the applications that they would want council to approve. The impact focus area folks, all of those folders will be provided to our city and county clerks tomorrow. There are 6 applications, as I said, that were the county only. We wanted the county to have a good opportunity to begin looking at those applications. We do have a rubric. Our project manager put together an awesome rubric with some instructions. We're going to be talking with our council and our board of commissioners about the rubric. We meet with our city county team next Wednesday. Really excited for their support. And we're looking at having everything approved and at the end of February, and then seating our board in March. That is all for me at this time. Thank you. I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
Commissioner Young.
Yeah, Brenda, I got a question about the resident committee. Hillcrest established their committee back in October, and wasn't no movement after that. A lot of the residents are asking what was going on, what was the reason that the momentum stopped on what they.
Let me ask you to
trying-
repeat. Let me ask you to repeat that. I didn't understand. In Hillcrest, what happened?
I was the Hillcrest resident committee. They established their committee in October. They also have put a lot of stuff together for their. If I'm not mistaken, I think the city or the county was supposed to be giving them some funds to help, and like the city backed out on it. I want to know what was the reason on that and what happened.
So I know that Angela Young, who is the president, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I know that Angela Young, who is the president of the Hillcrest Residents Association, she has put her name in as sharing. So I'm not sure what happened. We've been talking with her through Shonda Sanford Jackson, who's the director of residents at Eddington Center. So,
all right, thank you.
Yes, sir. If they have any other questions, please feel free to have them give me a call or at least check in with Shonda. Okay.
Okay, so Jeremy, he's not the contact no more for this, or has that been switched?
Okay,
on?
Jeremy's never been the contact for reparations. Are you talking about neighborhoods?
Yes, that's when we got I guess the bad information that he was was the contact person or whatever.
So
Probably.
Jeremy has left the city, taken another role at another organization. You can, for reparations and for this, just contact me. We're in the process of hiring and replacing Jeremy. And so I'll be glad to talk to anybody at this time.
I need the job.
Well, you need to apply for the job. It's online now. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the great question.
At this time, I'd like to acknowledge incoming commissioners Dolores Venable and Tiffany Debelow. Are there any more questions for Director Brenda Mills regarding reparations? Moving on to the next item up for business, unfinished business, retreat results and next steps.
Madam Chair, give me just a minute. For some reason, Dion cannot get in the meeting. So just give me just a few seconds, okay?
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Venable raised a hand.
Hi, it took me a little second to be able to get in technically. I don't know why, like I've been trying to raise my hand for a little second, but hi everyone. I hope everyone's doing well this new year. I hope I find everyone in good spirits. I would like to say a couple things, if I may, very briefly, on behalf of what Brenda had said also. I do think the Reparations Commission is a wonderful thing. I do think there needs to be more conversations on behalf of certain entities. I mean, I hear what Dane was saying, but at the same time, I also know that we have to move forward on this. We just can't keep sitting here waiting on something to happen, because if we don't make it happen now with what's there, it's not going to happen. And I wish a lot of people would have had the opportunity to know more before now, or do more sooner, and I don't know what else to do, as far as that, when people are reaching and they're doing the most that they can. I don't know how much more we can expect or how much more we can do, because what we got is what we got. So I'm really glad that the people who did step up and who do have the opportunity to participate do. And I just hope these folks carry through. I'm really proud of what I'm seeing so far in certain ways in our city, because I haven't seen this before at the Ashland Day. So I'm very glad in certain things that's moving forward. I'm very glad of the conversations that's being had. And I hope these things move things forward to where we can be a more cohesive city. So I thank everybody for everything that they're doing, whether it's good, bad, or they're indifferent. So, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Venable. Are there any more questions or comments regarding reparations for the city of Asheville? Or if you would like, or there might be an update from,
Hold
go
on
ahead.
just a second. Hold on just a second. I'm not sure why she can't get in the room. It's telling her she's waiting. So just give me a few more seconds, okay?
If anyone who's having trouble getting in the meeting is clicking the first email link, that'll send you to the November meeting. Go to the second email. I'm sending a email to that chain as well.
That's what I had to
They're
do.
doing what, Councilman Roney? What happened?
Your first email in this thread for everyone to join the meeting had the November
Hold on,
link, but
lady.
the second email had the January link.
Gotcha.
Good catch, Councilwoman Rooney. While you're here, are there any updates that you would like to bring in from City Council while we're on pause?
I'm currently facilitating this link move over. Sorry, one moment.
No worries.
Okay, so this is Kim, and thank you everyone for your service. I'm glad to be here with you today. I will say that we do have an upcoming City Council meeting this Tuesday, January 25th at 5 p.m. The agenda is expected to go live with attached documents at noon on Friday, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
I'm not sure because both of you two raised your hands at the same time.
I just want to know what time the meeting is on January the 25th.
The council meetings start at 5 p.m.
Thank you
The
for your
Civic
question,
Center?
Commissioner Young.
And it will be a virtual meeting again.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rooney. Commissioner Venable?
I'm sorry. I'm not sure why I was called on upon.
Okay, it just had you raised a hand. That's all right. No worries. Technology is a wonderful thing these days. Next
Chair
item.
Rodriguez, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, Dion is here, so we can proceed
Yep.
with the update if you would like.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Dion. Welcome. Next item up for business is our 2021 Hrca annual report review regarding our commission retreat in December or November. Time is flying.
It's December, but let's just back up
December.
to unfinished business. That's where the retreat
Oh,
update is.
unfinished business. Pardon
Right,
me.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Unfinished business,
Sorry.
retreat results, and next steps. Welcome, Dion. The floor is yours. Mic is yours.
I'm apologizing for the technical difficulties, and you're going to hear this buzzer because my house is flooding as I'm sitting here speaking to you all, but that's okay. We are going to move on. I will tell Brenda more about this later on, but wanted to have a chance to reconnect with you all about the amazing body of work that you all did. Did you all have a chance to kind of look at the summary documents that Brenda was able to email you? One of the things you have to say, I have to say, congratulations. One, that you've done an amazing amount of work. This is really amazing. In that when we look at from the beginning of the agenda to moving you all toward action planning, the fact that you made commitments to this. If you look at the first document, and I guess I can share my screen if possible. And again, I apologize for the alarms going off.
Is it allowing you to share your screen? The three buttons,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the square, is it not
Yeah.
letting you?
No, it's not letting me.
Okay.
You know, they
All
say
right.
that.
You should do it now, Dion. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
It has not popped up yet.
No.
What were you trying to show? I'll do it.
Okay. I was just going to go through the documents, Brenda. So
where do you want to start? I've got them all open.
Oh, great. We can start with the PowerPoint just to review how we went through the process here.
Okay. Let me just get back to that.
Okay.
Sorry. All right, I'm gonna share a tab.
I'm going to go outside.
I don't see my document. Hold on just a second. Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe that's it. Let's see if we can get that to work.
You have to love us being versatile in the middle of life's challenges. So we had an opportunity to engage with one another to talk about action planning and steps for the commission. And so, Brenda, if you want to scroll, this is just an overview, the action planning process that we all were able to go through, where we were able to do a couple of things, looking at the context through a historical scan of what influences potentially would indeed affect your work going forward. And then looking at the victory, what does that mean in the current reality after reviewing all of that? And then what's really important is that you all, this was one of the first times you've had an actual chance to be in each other's space. So what is the commitment that you all are going to bring to this to work through this action planning? And then being able to come to the key actions with potentially calendars and alignments, and being able then to say, this is what we're going to do moving forward. So you all did an amazing amount of work in a short period of time. In other settings, I've had to do this over several months with organizations where they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. And you all were able to get some of these core components completed in a few hours. But so that really speaks loads to what you all were able to do during this retreat. And you should be very proud of yourself. Brenda, if you could also go then to, if you can go to the next document with the historical scan, which is another document, or if you want to go to the end part, which is the big piece here, where you're talking about assignments, the document that speaks to what you all plan to do, the key actions in the next few months, the next year and a half, as you all accepted that challenge. So it's the key actions document, Human Relations Commission of Asheville.
I am not used to doing, I am not used to sharing the tab. So let me just go back. So the key actions, is that the only one you're going to be needing to look at?
That's the main one we can cover.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. It's coming up just a second.
Okay. So do you all have any additional questions about the process? Because again, one, it was neat to see you all work together in small groups in a way that you hadn't had a chance to do before. That was impressive. You know, sometimes we have to do a lot more work when it comes to people learning how to work with each other. And you all nailed it, particularly when you hadn't often had a chance to do any of this because you've been meeting virtually. So your key actions, the synopsis of all of this, is the categories that you came up with, the intergovernment relations, and you actually then started saying, we're not just going to talk about this, we're going to be committed to working on this. So that first column, Alex, Tiffany, Tanya, and Brandon, FYI, team members who might not have been there the whole time or who weren't able to attend, your colleagues, based upon them knowing you and your interests, helped kind of assign you, volunteer you for some of these commissions. So you all can, the committees within the commission, so you can talk about that. But it sounded like everyone was really deliberate to try to make sure they looked at your interests. And if you all had conversations before, what did that mean so that you all were aligned? So here we go with Alex, Tiffany, Tanya, and Brandon with the intergovernment relations piece. And look at those bullets that you're looking at in the green. So we then asked for you to look at the top 3 or 4 as priorities, because everyone was so excited. What I have to do, and I'm glad you all were amenable to this, is pump the brakes a little bit. You could have 20 different opportunities listed, but let's be reasonable and let's think about prioritizing the next steps for us to start this work. So for that first column, the building relationships with the city county members was really important. Encouraging budget transparency was actually also very important, and incorporating expertise of community leaders into commission activities. That first intergovernmental relations column listed those as the top 3 categories. If you see, again, you can move. The next one, community engagement, had a lot of categories. But again, you all, and you chose 4, but you also had many more. You had 9, you had others that you could choose. So you see that the first one, create and collect 2 community surveys, quarterly public listening forums, an HRCA info booth at every community event, and vaccine trust campaign for marginalized communities. Pretty amazing. You had a lot to choose from, and you chose those 4 as your priority. The third column here, addressing housing issues. And I know we went into this retreat after some of you all had actually engaged the public via television and other forums about your opinions regarding housing. And so what you looked at were 2, because this is a pretty complex issue, the eliminating the camping ban and advocating for a low barrier shelter, and then protecting and providing housing shelter for houseless community, number 2. Okay, so we know that those are going to be pretty deep, and we know that they're going to take a lot of effort. So it's okay to have not 3, but 2 of these. And then you have the next column, the examining systems, Harvey, Dolores, and Daniel. And you rank these again. Imagine other forms of public safety. The first one down at the bottom, the system education and dismantling discipline disparities, number 2, and examining the wage gap with a focus on economic opportunities as your third priority in that category. And then the last one, improving HRC, Dolores, and Daniel. And then you have your 3 ranked, in-person hybrid HRCA meetings, because you acknowledge the fact that it was nice to be in each other's presence, in each other's space. People were wearing masks and socially distancing and really being careful, but appreciating the opportunity to work with one another in person. And then training seminars for COA and the public, you thought that was important. And then starting a youth council, which again, one of the things I wanted to say about a couple of these, or all of these, is sometimes it looks good on paper and it sounds simple, but it can be very complex. So what I challenge you all to do is, again, look at these priorities, make sure that you all are serving on the subcommittee that you feel most matches your interest, and then start a meeting cadence where you can actually start thinking about next steps to accomplish those top priorities. Just because everything is not in green doesn't mean that you have to discard the other ones, but rather concentrate on your top priorities, and then let's celebrate. My recommendation is, in 6 months, you all look at where you were. You thought that because we were midstream and middle of the year, that you might need the first year and a half to concentrate on these top priorities. The thing is, you might be able to accomplish all of them in the next 6 to 8 months. If not, you have the whole next year and a half to work on these. And then if you are able to check some of them off as you being able to have accomplished what you set out to in these categories, it's okay then to, write summaries, make sure you're checking in with each other about what your work plan is, how it's going. And you set the cadence for future meetings that you have here to report back. And then you can go to the next one. If you have 5 or 6 additional ones that you weren't able to act upon, then now you have an opportunity when you complete maybe your priority 1, then you go to 4 or 5 and then go ahead and start adding that one so that you're constantly in the workflow where you're going to be able to address all of these. Does that help? Wonderful. Are there any questions? Because I also told Brenda, one of the things I love to do is not just spend this time with you all as you're creating these plans, but following up with you all as available to see where you are. If people get stuck, let's have a conversation. I'll be more than happy to come back and discuss this with you. But again, you all did an amazing amount of work. And I know I've said that multiple times, but when you think about we're in the middle of COVID, I'm in the middle of outside during a little bit of an ice storm, in the middle of my house flooding, and I'm still excited about having this discussion with you all because you did an amazing amount of work. So I commend you. Congratulations for this. And I'm hoping you're going to go back to those commitment documents where you all committed to working on this, and so that you can stay clear of getting distracted, but rather everyone's committed to making some things happen with this action plan. So again, it sounds like you've got a good foundation to move forward. Are there any questions? I see Daniel has raised his hand.
Yes, I got a few questions. One is the checking off list. I do think we already got a youth council that's already established here in Asheville.
Yes.
I think that can be checked off. And also with the concerning with the living wage in Asheville, that has been addressed. And I think we can check that off as well. But I also think something we checking this stuff off, some of the stuff can be added on. And I think one of them is the problems that we're having in the high schools and our middle schools with our youth.
Okay.
Violence that's been going on. I think that needs to be put at the top of the list, because right now, if our kids are failing in our community, our whole community looks bad as a whole. It's not just the parents' fault, it's the community's fault. So
Daniel, I think you raised some amazing points. And what I would encourage you all to do is your subcommittees decide if you think you've made the progress. You say that you all have already a youth HR council. Is it doing what you all envisioned it to do? Does it need a reboot? So before you remove some things, it might be that you go back and revisit to see where you all are with those things, because you're right. You very much may have a youth council, but is it operating as you would like it to? Does it need to be revisited, or does it need to have a reboot? So I challenge everyone, before you start marking things off, it's great that you have that. So that's great, a great start. The next part of it is, are we where we want to be with that before we totally check it off? Because if you're looking at in another 6 months restarting the youth council, or maybe it's not operating as you like, then you'd have to start it again.
I wasn't really saying like checking it off, but maybe we can support the wheel that's already rolling. Since we do get the kids that's going into these spaces speaking on what they want changing Asheville, maybe we can be there at these meetings and get what they're asking for, and we can support that wheel, so make it happen. So
right.
I think that can be checked off, because it's been going now for the last 3 years. They just now they do need the support from us. If we are the human relationship committee, we need to support them and help get them the power that they need, be their voices. Or better yet, just support what they need. So,
great suggestions. Again, you've got great subcommittees who can really talk about next steps within each one of those I'd like to say, domains of priority here. Yes, Tiffany, I see that you're wanting to comment.
I just wanted to ask, just in speaking in terms of next steps, what would be like our best interest in order to unpack this and then kind of tackle it, so to speak, so that we could either add on what, what would be in our best interest, the best way to kind of unpack this document. And thank you for the work.
Oh, no, you all did a lot of the work. I'm just helping you document it. So thank you. Tiffany, great question. Again, recommendations, you see that you all have kind of subdivided yourselves into work groups within these categories. Establishing a regular cadence. I know some of you are participating in more than one, but making sure that stuff doesn't fall by the wayside. So, within your committees, you all getting together and saying, we're going to work outside of the regular commission meetings and work sessions on these projects. That would be the first thing, because you just don't want it to kind of sit there. So the challenge is, your subcommittees meeting, establishing a cadence for regular meetings, and then determining how you're going to prioritize even the priorities. Are you thinking, if you've got 18 months to work on these and you've got 3, do you want the first 6 months? Do you want to do work on them simultaneously? Decide what your cadence is, and then make sure to hold each other accountable that you all are scheduling some time in some of these meetings and these commission meetings to kind of report back and have your colleagues ask you all questions about where you are and what else needs to be done. Because again, many of you might have resources or connections and know of other things that can assist you with this process. Sharing and communicating with one another are best steps to help make sure you get some of this done in a timely fashion and stay on track and not get distracted. Does that help?
That does, I guess, and thank you. So just going to look at the team, thinking about how do we want to look at some of these pieces, in purple, and not to enter now, and not for us to like really unpack what the work we need to do together, but can we commit to really being on a committee and kind of pushing that work forward? And that's
something you can revisit those commitments, because you did talk about being committed to a process and work so that you can, move forward on it. I think you all could possibly, again, before you launch any widespread subcommittee work, revisit those commitments and again, talk about the schedule as a group and how you're going to hold each other accountable. I also have some additional resources that I'll be more than happy to share that are actually kind of action planning sheets where I can furnish those to Brenda and she can distribute those to you all. Because then again, it's something powerful about writing stuff down on paper. You're having to really be diligent in saying this is something we're going to do. When you start writing it down, that's amazing that you're also taking another vow technically to really do this, because it's hard to take back things you put in writing. I see we have Dolores, who's actually got her hand up.
Hi, I was just wondering one thing also. What is your advice about us dealing as a cohesive entity, and then dealing with individual or not even individual, but just I guess pertinent points that's going on within the media? Like, how do we deal with like going forth and not being able to deal with each other before we deal with stuff like that? Is there a way that we can deal better with that type of entity?
I have several recommendations. One, you actually have an amazing advocate within the city, Brenda Mills, who can also guide you when it comes to, you've talked about media relations and some of those things. It would be helpful to think about some policies and procedures in order for you to attack difficult issues or when there's a response requested from your organization. I think that would be the first step, is that how are you all as a commission going to collectively come up with some kind of response when you feel like there are things that you need to respond to. It would be helpful in many, this is kind of media relations 101, but that you're all on one accord with how you do a response and that you've also consulted with the Equity Office and Ms. Mills for that, because there are many opportunities where you all could be working together with this, so that it seems like you all, including the Equity Office with the city, that you're working in tandem with one another to come up with a resolution for some issue. So that's one thing. The other thing is that, again, if you all are committed to making sure that you're having a response that's going to be representative, that you all can say from an equity standpoint that you all agree to this, then you make statement. It looks well when an organization has come together and really thought out a response, particularly when there are difficult issues to respond to. And that way it means that you're not, I think one of the commitments was that you wanted at the end of the day for people to also really respect this commission. And if you come together and look like you're working together and communicating together, then it makes you stronger as an entity that will gain the respect versus maybe some disorganization that all organizations go through. But when you have multiple people addressing things instead of cohesively, you could have that happen. Does that help? I see Harvey has raised his hand as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your response, and thank you for the work that you've done in the retreat. It was a really great event, and I appreciate everything you've done for our board. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. I have to say, I can't do this work without you all. This was an amazing gathering. And again, I did not know that you all had not had a lot of opportunities to work together. So this was great to see you come together. You know, many organizations couldn't say it would have run as smooth, considering that you hadn't had a chance to do all of this work previously. And you were, you know, like everyone during COVID, having to make adjustments virtually. So thank you for all of your hard work. Again, you're really superstars that day. I see Harvey has his hand raised again, sir.
Yes, my question is in line with Dolores because it has been giving me fits in my mind. But you
Okay.
sort of touched on it a minute ago. Several weeks ago, they were dealing with the homeless downtown Asheville, and maybe when they were digging up the ground out there and moving them like that. And this lady, she said she was part of the Human Relations Commission, and she just started telling them, the news people, exactly what she thought about it. I said I've never heard of her name before, but I just want to ask: did she have permission to speak in regards to putting her name out there and the Human Relations Commission? That's what I want to know.
Harvey, I think is a great question. And again, why I think it's really good for you all to establish some ground rules when it comes to you entertaining difficult issues, how you're going to respond as a board. And you all can have a special work session on communication when you all are asked. And it's something where, you know, there's often times we're all called and asked difficult questions. I feel them every day with my current position. But what happens though is that we've already decided some ground rules as to how we respond. So it sounds like to me that if you had ground rules previously, you might need to review them. And if you don't have them, or they're not as strong as you'd like them to do, now might be the time where you really dig deep and say, okay, if WLOS calls us, one of us, how are we going to respond to that? And I know sometimes, you know, the reaction is we've got to make a quick response, but you also want to make sure that you have a careful response, because sometimes, particularly when you're addressing media issues, things can be taken out of context, and you don't want the wrong representation of the commission out in the media when you could have a chance to have a call meeting. You know, again, I recommend that you all think about what kind of ground rules you want to establish for you all to be moving forward. And again, you've got the city of Asheville has a big PR arm, and Brenda's, you know, has decades of experience in community engagement. You have some champions that can help you kind of mitigate that.
I'd like to jump in and offer the opportunity to share that sometimes with these initiatives, it's good to not wait for people to start doing it, and to find the passion that you have for these initiatives and to be the lead on it, and then invite people to the initiative. One of the things that Commissioner Debelow said, shared earlier was, how do we go about these things so they just don't fall flat in the air? And one of them is to lead, is to not wait for somebody to lead and to be the lead. And that is something that is often left out of these conversations, because many times people do wait for somebody to do something. Oh, well, I was waiting for an email, or well, they didn't get in contact with me, or they didn't do something. And it's important that if this is something you're passionate about, and you're waiting for somebody to be more passionate than you, then these initiatives will fall. So it's important to stand up and do the work, and then people will be attracted to that, and that can be a powerful thing. And so don't be afraid to be the leader.
I agree with what you said, and I think that's amazing. However, I'm looking at you all as a collective, similar to the Collective Liberation Station. I'm looking at you all as a collective because, again, to Harvey's point, it's important to have leadership, but what's really amazing is for people to dive in and collectively become leaders in order to look as a unified and knowledgeable front. So while I'm not advocating that people wait to become leaders, I'm looking at you all as a collective body of leaders and being able to determine what courses of actions you wish to take, so that you don't have, for lack of a better word, rogue members who may or may not have gotten the input from your other commission members. So I challenge you all to look at each other as a collective, knowledgeable body of leaders. And how do you start moving forward with what you said and committed to as a cohesive unit? So, because again, so oftentimes we can often fall victim to divisiveness, and people could start targeting. I think we talked at the retreat about individuals being targeted, particularly if you're out there on your own. So the challenge is, how do you unify and protect each other and support each other and move forward with a cohesive leadership that gains respect of all the folks that interact with you?
Thank you, Dion. And to clear any narrative regarding publicity, it was the working group for the Houseless Initiative that was called upon to be interviewed by WLOS. So it wasn't an individual. It was 3 members of this commission who were on the Houseless Initiative working group.
Yes.
Who collectively got together and spoke about what was going on, that it was in direct, it directly affected and reflected of the communication between the commission and the city. And so we spoke to that. And so that's an important thing. It didn't go against any publicity policy. And, it is right that we needed to contact Brenda before we did that. And for that, I apologize for not doing that. But to ask the whole commission whether or not we have permission to speak to the public, I think is a disservice to any public official serving as a working group that is already actively involved in issues that are ongoing.
Just a response. I'm not at all questioning the passion or the reason for the response. I'm just saying, as a group, a commission, that oftentimes there are ground rules when it comes to how you address entities. And again, I can't question the validity at all of you all in your subgroup addressing it. But again, it's good to have, when you're a part of a larger group, to make sure that everyone is on one accord. In the event that the media comes back to other members of the commission and asks questions, did everybody have the knowledge? Did everyone understand what was happening? How can everyone support each other in their responses? So that's what I'm saying, particularly when you're part of a commission, it means you're joining a body that you're going to agree to work on things together. And I'm not saying that your group was divisive by any means. I'm just saying it's great to have ground rules that support anyone's voicing any opinions, which are valid, but you also can work together in order to make sure you're all on one accord.
Thank you. I would like to know if there are ground rules regarding media for city council that maybe we can implement within the HRCA.
Chair Rodriguez, this is Brenda Mills. I have my hand raised. What I want to say is that I got a media request through, I think, our communications and public engagement office, who handles all of our stuff. We worked through them. I gave a video interview with Sarah Hanaski of Asheville Citizen Times. She was asked to send the questions in advance. It wasn't an emergency at this point. So she was asked to send the questions in advance. And then one of the communications folks sat with me as I responded to the questions, just to make sure she was making sure we were communicating with each other. What happened after that point is that our communication specialist, who is Ashley Trainham Carson, sent an email to all department directors, which is our management team, and to city council about what that interview was about, what was stated, and when we can expect it to come out. In a lot of situations, what I would say, most of the boards that I've been on, if they are making a statement to the public, I get an email that says, we've been asked to respond to da 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 da. Do you have a problem? Do you have a concern? And then from that point, if there's not a concern, we know who the spokesperson is. So I think because you have new members, Harvey didn't know you at the time. And I think he's maybe talking about Susie Chandler and the other two. He probably knows you, but he didn't know who you were. So just a courtesy note to your commission would be great. And we do that here. We don't want council kept off balance by hearing anything that they were not made privy to before they're able, because a reporter will call, say, Councilman Roney, what do you have to say about Brenda Mills' statements? Well, she's already gotten an email. She's known what I've talked about, and then she can respond accordingly. So that's what we tend to do. That's what we're doing. That's our policy.
As a matter of just personal response, I also, anytime that I interact with the media, send a message to the city manager and the mayor as a courtesy as well. That's not an internal policy, it's a personal one.
May I, please? Hi, everybody. It's Dolores. Also, I've had some issues with this because because I'm also known in the community, and people get at me also. So they're asking me about how did we come to a collective, and I don't really want to deal with one issue. I'm just saying, as a personal courtesy, I have never gone out here and said, as a member of the HRCA, my personal stance is this. And I don't want to take and silo our commission off to be a personal relations situation, because we're not personal relations, we're human relations. So I don't want to put that into play all the time. And I just wish that we would have had better communication beforehand, because anytime I speak on behalf of the Human Relations Commission, I try to keep it on the most positive note as possible, that we're a cohesive board. I never give any type of discernment. And when people ask me questions that I had no idea about, I don't know what to say. I really don't. And so I hope that moving forward, that this is something that will not happen again. Just like I've been asked, we all make mistakes. But I hope that we can get to a place where we can say, hey, look, this might not be something that we need to do again as a board, because it does put people kind of off. It throws people off a little bit. It kind of makes you feel some type of way. Going back to what Ms. Dion said, it does really touch a spring in you when this is something that's common within societal norms when it comes to structural, any type of things. So I just hope that moving forward, we can just move forward and just keep it moving. Thank you.
If I may, I also think that this moment is just a great strategic planning process right now where we're understanding, us as a collective and as a commission. But I want to also stress the fact that, as leaders, we want to do things the right way so that we are being the model in which we expect others to implement. So even if like us as a board or commission, right, and we expect one another to implement or be a certain way or even model a certain behavior in our meetings in representation of HRCA, I think that should be across the board, even as a chair or as a subcommittee or work group. And also, I guess just some background stuff for me. I've never, when the media came to me or me going to the media, not consult with the then director of the equity department, plus also my the liaison, the city council liaison, as well as our Nia, who was there. So anytime anyone that came to me outside of the Human Relations Commission, I was intentional of not answering or giving information, but first going to the team that I trusted in, I believed in, and worked with. Then we grafted and we created something. And I understand that the piece, as far as there's a sense of urgency, and we all should walk with a sense of urgency, but we also have to trust that we want to do things in such a way where when we walk out from being a Human Relations Commission member, we know that there's a professional way to handle things, and then there's also that personal piece. So just me as being a human active member, I would love to propose that we further continue this conversation and actually create some guidelines, some norms, and some SOPs so that we can ensure that this won't happen again, because this also breaches trust. And we need to understand that when we walk in areas and we're representing HRCA, we're representing everyone that's on this commission, even if we don't always agree. And then understanding that there is that place of, we have to know when to separate that professional from our personal. And I think we should just unpack that more as a board.
Wow, I really love what you're saying, and I honor all of what you're saying. And I do want to touch on that none of the media outreach was personal. It was all based on previous recommendations that we had made to city council, and that was the root of the media contact, was to dig into those recommendations that seemingly we made, and they went nowhere. And so the media was in regards and in response to, we have those recommendations, how come they didn't get put into place? And so we were responding to that. We were directly responding to the community concerns, and it was urgent. And we didn't have time to reach out to anybody because it was a matter of minutes, because people were dying. And so when people are dying, we there's weather coming in, we had to say something. We had to.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope that we understand that even in dire situations, we're representing the full board. And let's also remember that there's some information that we're bringing out that also we can handle in-house. So let's utilize our subcommittees and our work groups just for this particular piece so that we don't spend a lot of time on it.
Commissioner Debola, I would like to bring a narrative correction. We aren't representing the board, we're representing the community.
This is Staff Liaison Brenda Mills. I'm gonna ask that we hold this conversation. This is not a part of our agenda today. And I want to ask that we hold the conversation. I'm also going to ask something else. One of the things that I committed to myself, I don't know if you do New Year's resolutions. Mine come around my birthday. And that is when I feel like someone has either offended me or is offending others, or I'm hearing things, to go to them. I think each of you, I want to ask you to do that. Have a conversation with your chair or whoever, you feel like breached something, so that those things don't come out in a meeting. This is not the appropriate place for this. And so I want us to hold it, and I want you to talk with her or whoever you feel like you need to. I understand where you're coming from, and I honor that, but we need to move on. We have other meeting things that have been noticed to the public, and I want us to hold off and try to move on with that. And then if you are agreeable, and I'll talk with the chair and vice chair about this, I would love for our director of communications and public engagement to come back and talk with you more about how we handle communications, and what kind of things. We have a media relations training that we go through as staff and as management team. And I just want to just keep a note of this, that even the best interviews I've given, even with communication staff, they go after. Sometimes they're looking for the negative, and sometimes you give it to them. And so when you speak for a board and you have not told them you're speaking for them or whatever, it can be uncomfortable. I'm gonna put it that way. So if we could just settle our hearts, settle our minds, and let's move on with our next agenda item, I would appreciate that. And I think our public would too.
Thank you very much, Director Brenda Mills. Assistant City Attorney Aaron.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to inform you that a quorum is present, and if, as part of the agenda, you could return to the minutes and call for a vote as to the November 18th, 2021 minutes, if you're so inclined.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Shall we walk back to our approval of minutes for November 18th, 2021. Thank you for all your passion today. Has everybody reviewed the minutes? Oh,
Yeah.
Before we move on, Dion, are you complete, or is there more to the presentation?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to say again, congratulations on all of the effort and commitment that you all have put into this. And again, albeit it sounds like you might be expanding your community engagement piece to include some communication guidelines. That is something I just wanted to remind you as you continue to look at the work product, the action plan that you started, that these categories are not so stringent and concrete that you can't add to them. So as Ms. Mills had spoken, at another time, you may wish to add this communication guidelines that you all like to work on as a part of your community engagement strategy. And again, thank you so much for allowing me to help facilitate this. Again, I'm really excited about the direction that you all have chosen to go into. And again, forgive me for life happening, but again, that doesn't stop everything. This was an amazing opportunity to see you all again. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you so much. And I can allow you to continue with your minutes. Take care. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Dion. It's been a pleasure. Reversing back to approval of minutes, roll call vote for approval of minutes. Commissioner Venable.
As far as the approval of the minutes from the November, I approve. Thank you.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second. You need a motion and a second. Sorry, we didn't do that.
Motion to approve.
I'm sorry.
Pardon. Motion to approve minutes for November 18, 2021. Can I get a second?
I move to approve. Second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Venable. And we'll take that approval as stated. Commissioner Devereaux.
Madam Chair, who was the second?
Commissioner Venable.
I believe for Commissioner Venable was the motion maker. We would need a second from another member of the commission.
I just made the motion. Did it drop out?
It might have.
Oh, okay. Because I made a motion and then I heard Commissioner Venable seconded it. So I'll second as well. So we'll do the whole thing. Commissioner Venable, as stated, a motion,
A motion to approve the minutes from this November meeting. That's a yes.
okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Venable. Commissioner Debolo?
This is the roll call vote at this time.
Correct.
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Nava?
Yes.
Commissioner Harold?
Yes.
Commissioner Noyes?
Yes.
Vice Chair Oliver?
Yes.
So moved. Minutes for meeting, HRCA meeting November 18th, 2021 has been approved. Moving on to the next item up for business. New business, 2021 HRCA annual report review. Has everybody seen and taken a look at the template?
Yes.
Wonderful. Brenda, would you like to speak on that?
Sure. I tried to put together, I've only been with you for like a half a year, but I tried to put together some general things. And if I've overlooked some items, they asked for major accomplishments. So if there are any other major accomplishments beyond the Vance Monument and your retreat, please by any means speak up now. And I will add those. And then I'd like to have your approval to send this on to the city clerk's office. It's due on January 30th. So unless, I just want to know if there's anything I need to add or change.
There are two recommendations that we sent to City Council. One was to review the ordinances for houseless encampment removal in the event of inclement weather, 3 days prior, 3 days after, as a result of the encampment removal February of, I believe it was 2021, where a houseless encampment removal was cleared out within hours before a 50-mile-an-hour snowstorm. There was also a second city council recommendation from the HRCA that was in regards to reviewing and amending ordinances to encourage a low impact housing. And I believe Commissioner Noyes can speak more to that second recommendation that was put forward to City Council.
Brenda, is that something that you're needing some clarification on what was in the recommendation or no?
I don't have it. So
you don't have it.
Yeah, no. See, I joined you half a year and I'm still trying to go through files. So if you have those things, that would be great. And
okay,
then,
can I send it to you? Can we
absolutely.
Send it to you?
And then hand raised by Councilman Roney, Madam Chair, and then Ms. Dolores Venable.
I was just going to offer to send the recommendation because I have the report and it was from May 20th.
Which one? There's two. The one for the encampment or the
They
one
were they were both made in the same meeting.
Gotcha. So
I'll send you the report now.
That would be great, and I'll add that to the annual report. That sounds good. Anyone
So
else?
this is Kim, just so clarity. I'll copy Mel, who was on the work group for that, just so they can check and make sure it's all in one place.
Perfect.
So as someone who will be receiving this report, a motion to approve this annual report might include with inclusion of any additions that happen in this conversation.
Absolutely. Do I have any other updates from anybody else? That's great.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. I just like to ask one thing. Before we send those two particular pinpoints, I would like to know what the vote was across our board on that first, before we send the recommendation. Also, I would like to know Actually, I would just like to know what our particular board voted on and what those recommendations, because I don't see that as something as a moving forward step, if that's something that we did not move forward. Do I make sense there?
You make perfect sense. But here's the deal. They've already been sent to council. So this is not, your annual report is not about what you're getting ready to do. Well, it is to some degree at the bottom, like what your, whatever is. This is what you did last year. So you did forward those to council. It doesn't mean that you're still working on anything or doing anything. It's just what you provided to council as recommendations.
I do understand, and that's exactly what I'm saying. I just want to make sure that when we do send those recommendations to council, because these are add-ons to my, as of now, correct? These are
Yes.
add-ons.
Yes.
So I like to make sure that with those add-ons that what happened within our board is also ad minimum as well. Is that fair enough?
I don't think I'm understanding.
Is the way our board voted as well, that can be added on as well with the
I got
recommendation
you.
that was proposed. Is that fair? Is that something that is capable?
Oh, no, that's totally fair. And so February would be the ordinance for the encampment. Do you know, and May was the one, or they all came in May to the city council, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yes, between February and May. I believe there was 2 votes, and there was one date, and I believe it was March of 2021.
Okay, Councilman Roney.
So this is Kim, and I have the liaison report that went along with this from May 20th, 21. I remember the recommendation from this being that the members of the commission who voted for or against the recommendations be listed explicitly.
Okay.
What it says right now is that the motion for the Houseless Working Group recommendation item 1 passed 6 yes and 5 no. It names the commissioners that voted for it. For the Houseless Working Group recommendation item 2, it passed 6 yes and 5 no, and names the commissioners that voted for it.
Perfect. That'll be great. Does that help, Ms. Venable?
That absolutely helps. Thank you, Councilwoman Roney. That clears it up very well. I just wanted to make sure that we're cohesive once again as a board, and we're speaking on behalf of the board as a whole, and just not pieces and forms of it. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much, ladies.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any other updates? I'm sorry.
And also the implementation of a land acknowledgement for the HRCA. And I don't have the paperwork in front of me, and that was put to a vote, I believe, as well.
I think I remember seeing that in the notes. You want that added. I would be glad to do that. So anyone who makes a motion, if we don't have any other things, and we'll hope for that, you need a motion for the report email with the changes to add the 3 recommendations.
I motion to approve the annual report with the aforementioned additions.
Hold please, before the motion is made. Point of order. In the annual report, I feel that it's also important to include the people that left the commission and the incoming members to the commission as well.
Sure. It generally just asks for the current ones, but I'll be glad to do that.
Yeah,
that'd be fine.
Because it's important to honor the service of the people that were on the commission and served for years.
I would actually need some legal advice on that, because I can't see how we can vote on something without acknowledgement of what's going on, because people that presently are serving don't know that. And I'm not trying to be, any type of austere way. I'm just trying to just make it make some sense. But you can't vote on something that people here really don't know. They're part of a new board that had some type of way, obviously. And also too, I just want to say we voted on that already, and that's part of our report. So I would like to keep the minutes as they were.
Commissioner Venable, was your question your legal question as to whether or not this commission as it is currently formed can vote on the annual report as presented with the amendments? Was that your question?
Absolutely. I would like to know how we were presented with something that our past board and our present board, we have not even had a meeting on that yet. We have totally new members. This is something we voted against, I believe, on a former board. So I like to have the minutes and those things before I can have a clear mind about how to move forward on that.
So as to your question as to whether or not you can vote on it, the interim report as presented is the report on what has occurred within the last, in the year 2021, what accomplishments and things that have been presented to your board. It is, the current commission would be the commission that would be voting on that report to be submitted to the county clerk, which will, I apologize, the city clerk, which will then go to city council. So you can vote on that. As to the documentation that you're requesting in regards to minutes, I will have Brenda Mills respond to that. She may be more appropriate as to where those documents are.
And I don't mean to make any work harder for folks, because I know everybody's trying to do the best they can with what we got, with where we at. But I would really just like to know that we're working on behalf of as we keep talking about, a very cohesive commission, and being very 100% and not 2080.
So Ms. Venable, let me make sure I understand. There's 3 new additions. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 new additions, right? As I see it. What are you asking in terms of minutes?
I think what I'm asking is, before I'm willing to make a real vote on something tonight, I need to really be able to go back and really do some archiving about where we were at in 2021, because we're now in 2022. So, does that make sense to folks?
It does. I think the thing we might be getting hung up on is that you're not voting to approve. You're not voting to approve land acknowledgement. You did that last year. You did. I'll add the commissioners. We could do that. You did review. You did send those ordinances. It's not about what you're getting ready to do or that you approve something. It's already been done.
Exactly. So I think what I'm trying to make sure of is that whatever was done has the acknowledgement of those that approved and disapproved.
So do you want to see the minutes where this was approved to be sent to council? Is that what you're saying? For these,
yes.
For these particular things? I can work on that. I've got to update the report. I'm going to share it blind carbon copy. So if you have anything you can't add because you're not together again, but as long as make sure I've represented things as you spoke of them at this meeting, I'll be glad to send as much as I'll try to dig. And it looks like it's not that much stuff. So you want so May would have been the stuff for the encampment and the homelessness stuff. I actually came to that meeting, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And then you wanted the information on the land acknowledgement or just the houseless stuff?
Both.
Okay.
If that's possible. And I'm so sorry, Miss Brenda. I don't mean to.
You don't need to be. Were you not at those meetings? I'm just trying to figure out.
At those meetings, I just want to make sure that anything that we send in the public has everything that needs to be included, so that in the future this board can move forward without.
So the council does not want copies of minutes.
Okay, I got you.
They what they want, and let me just make sure. They don't want 3 and 4 pages. Now, if you have a work plan, which you do have, since you got that completed, I'm going to add your work plan as an attachment. Okay. But unless they've got a question, and we can certainly answer if they have any questions, I'll let Councilman Roney speak to that. You've already done these things. And whether you didn't vote for them or not, it was a majority vote.
Gotcha.
To send these things. Is that help?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Sure. Councilman Roney, would you like to speak on that a bit?
Sure. So as a member of the Boards and Commissions Subcommittee of Council, what we do is we ask our advisory boards to send an annual report so that we have all in one place a documentation of the work that our advisory boards do, which I'll speak for myself, not for the whole. But for myself, this work is invaluable. We need each other's lived and professional experience if we're going to get through these overlapping crises and if we're going to be able to celebrate some wins together. So hopefully we'll have some of those to celebrate as well. Ultimately, it's a documentation that the Boards and Commissions Committee can review and then forward to the whole council. Ultimately, so it's all in one place instead of being in all the minutes. It's compact.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Roney. I really do appreciate everyone's clarity in this. You know, I always try to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted because I don't ever want to come back to the same place that we've ever been before. I always want to move forward. So that's always my general purpose. And the best way to move forward is that we don't keep crossing the bridges that we walked over before and expect the same result. That's the definition of insanity. So I just want to make sure that we keep moving forward. And even if it's in a different way, that we keep the forward projection, even if it's not the way in such people don't think so. So I just want to make sure everything's good and good. And I know Ms. Brenda and everyone is doing the best job possible. I appreciate everyone's work because I know this is hard work and we're coming at a crux and actually a lot of people, a lot of cities are not at. So I really do appreciate everyone's hard work, determination, this board, everyone involved in it. This has taken a lot of work over the years. So pat yourself on the back, toot your own horn because you deserve that.
Well, thank you, Ms. Venable. Chair Rodriguez, we have one hand raised, and that's Mr. Young.
Commissioner.
I do have a question about this. I'm looking over the annual report, but we have not addressed the problems in housing about the quality of housing for our community. I mean, I'm all good for the homeless and helping them out, but where's the help gonna come for the Black community, for the protection of the Black community, so that our people staying in Hillcrest and Klondike and Altamont have the same quality as everybody else? Are we just gonna push our problems to the back and worry about this homeless stuff and not worry about the stuff that's been occurring in Asheville for numerous years? But this is nowhere on our list. So ain't nothing accomplished until we put everything on this list so we address that. I mean, I don't know how can we even send something in when we ain't accomplished nothing. Yeah,
So
the monument and this and that, but we still got housing. That's the number one issue. That's been the problem since Mr. Elder Hayes was living. He addressed it with the city, and everybody continued to sweep this under the rug like that's not a problem. Now, if everybody in Hillcrest and the housing declare themselves homeless, are we gonna help them too, like we doing the homeless? Are we just gonna drop the ball like Ashford, like the housing don't exist, like HUD is getting all these funds and they're not doing right by our community? Look at the storms this last few days. People couldn't even get out if they were in an accident. I got pictures of that. We seen the housing people going in there sliding down. The ambulance couldn't even get in there. So when are we gonna address these problems? Are we just stuck on homeless? Come on. We got people that's about to be homeless because they can't pay their rent.
So Commissioner Young, I think we're talking about two different things. This report is about accomplishments from last year. So if you don't feel like you've done the housing, that would not go on this report. The other thing I think you're addressing is, if I'm not mistaken, one of some of the work on your work plan is around housing, affordable housing. So that's something you can take up this year in your committee and bring that forward to work on for 2022, to continue working on that for 2022. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but when are we gonna have the city council members, the mayor, to apply pressure on housing to make them do their job by our community.
And
when is that gonna be
I totally hear you, but we're not at a point of where we are and what we're addressing. We're at a point with the annual report. These are the accomplishments for last year. And then as you move forward, I've got a note about these, and we want to talk to you more about how would you like to bring that back. But I think that's involved in your committees that you're getting ready to work on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I want to honor where people are coming from, but we're voting on a report about major accomplishments for 2021. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add before our chair calls for a vote or anything? Okay. Madam Chair, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you, Commissioner Young.
All right. Roll call vote. Approval for 2021 HRCA annual report.
Madam Chair,
Ken-
you do have to call for a motion and then receive
Oh.
a second prior to calling for a roll call vote.
Pardon me.
And I'm going to say that Alex.
And because the internet is a bit
No, you're
spotty where I'm
good.
at,
You
so-
need to ask
okay.
Commissioner Nava if he is willing to amend the original motion.
Perfect.
And go from there and then ask for a second. Is that
All
cool?
right.
Okay.
Or can we go with Commissioner Nava going forward with the original motion? And
Yeah, I don't think there was any.
yeah, go
No,
ahead.
well,
Commissioner.
no. There
no?
isn't. You added the land acknowledgement
Ah,
after his motion. So Commissioner Nava, would you?
Got it. Thank you. Commissioner Nava, feel free to make the motion.
Sure, I amend my initial motion and I motion to approve the annual report for 2021 with the aforementioned additions included in this annual report.
Can we get a second?
I second it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Harold. Roll call vote. Commissioner Noyes?
Approved.
Commissioner Harold?
I approve.
Commissioner Nava?
I approve.
Commissioner Young?
I don't approve.
Commissioner Debolo? Was that approved?
I approve.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute.
You're
Come on,
good.
Tia.
Commissioner Venable?
Dolores.
I'm gonna go ahead and approve this, but yeah. Okay, yeah.
And as chair, I approve as well, but do not have full
We don't have a
approval?
quorum.
No, we don't have quorum.
Madam Chair, according to your rules and procedure, once a quorum has been met by this commission, by one commissioner leaving, it does not destroy quorum, so you may proceed with your vote.
All right, and it's
Exactly.
majority vote.
Yes.
Thank you very much. As so moved, motion is approved. Moving on to the next item up for business, community announcements. This should be events and other engagements of interest to the HRCA and the community of Asheville. Are there any community announcements you would like for Asheville to hear? Commissioner Noyes.
Hey, first I just wanted to say thank you to Harvey for bringing up the topic of the media concerns and to Brenda for some action on how to consensually move about in public. I really, really appreciate that work and those words. That being said, and let me know if this is an okay spot to talk about this. I do think that it's important for our group to reinforce our position on the houseless camp sweeps as APD continues to disrupt encampments, contrary to CDC guidelines. And I just wanted to give Kim Roney a thank you for bringing that up at the last city council meeting. A very concrete way I think that we could do this is to condemn the arrest of journalists on Christmas Eve who were there to cover the story of a sanctuary camping demonstration. There are individuals and organizations who are publicly condemning and calling for the dropping of the charges of our local journalists. So yeah, I think it would be an effective use of our time to stand in solidarity with people on the ground enforcing the stance that we passed to City Council last May. So just for transparency, I wanted to tell y'all that I intend on bringing this up with our working group with the intentions of bringing more data and recommendations to you all to talk about. So if anybody wants to continue that conversation, feel free to send Tanya or Susie or I an email. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Noyes. Are there further community announcements? Commissioner Nava?
Yeah, just wanted to make an announcement to our commission and the public that as of yesterday, the federal government has allowed 4 free COVID tests for every household. So you can get those at www.covidtestsplural.gov. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Nava. Commissioner Debelow, community announcements?
Yes, so January 25th, Asheville City, along with Tepayak Consulting and Youth Artists Empowered, conducted a climate consciousness project, and they're going to be presenting January 25th to city staff and possibly also to city council. So I encourage everyone to just take a look at it. I'll try to send a link so that you can follow. There's going to be a wonderful exhibit that's going to take place from just the work that our young people they did, and along with just looking at some of our climate crisis areas, which are based primarily in our public housing neighborhoods. So January 25th, and then I'll share a link for our March event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Debelow. If there's no more further community announcements, moving on to the next item up for business, live public comment. Have you received any emails or phone calls, or is there anybody in the queue? Brenda?
Everyone, there is no one in the queue waiting to speak. I did not receive any comments or voicemails prior to the meeting. This is staff member Brenda Mills.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Future agenda items that we have discussed are also can be found in the working groups and proposed working groups that we discussed within the retreat. And so I wanted to acknowledge that part of the agenda is already in motion. Motion to adjourn. That brings us to the end of our meeting today. It is an honor to serve with all of you, and I trust that this new year is filled with wonderful things for all of us, and that we continue to show up in a good way and an authentic way, and with all of the passions that we bring to this commission and to the community of Asheville for community concerns and hearing the community, so that we serve the community of Asheville in a good way. And thank you very much, all of you, for showing up today. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Councilwoman Rooney. Thank you, Erin. Thank you to Dion for bringing in her wisdom. And thank you to the city of Asheville and the public who is attending our meeting today. Motion to adjourn.
I second. This is Commissioner Venable.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Venable. Meeting is adjourned.